what looks like could go down as one of the greatest promos between two really great promos ever, because I did not realize how long the opening segment was until I looked at the clock going into the first match. And I'm like, there's no way they went that long. But I have to say, the promo between CM Punk and MJF was awesome.
I think you mean Dollar Store Miz.
Dollar Store Miz, yes.
Yeah, excellent promo, and it was like 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, if you're going to do a 20-minute in-ring segment to start the show, that's how you do it.
Yes. I like I said, I can't believe it actually went that long. I thought it was shorter because I was completely enthralled the entire time with the promo.
Yeah, me too.
There's lots of inside references, and when we run it down, I did not type this out word for word, so it's going to be a complete, overview because it just went on for so long. But I did write down here, it was 24 minutes before the lockup of the first match.
Oh, wow. Well, and it actually made sense because Punk was in the opening match, so like it made sense for him to be out there anyway.
Mm-hmm. And some other interesting things we'll be talking about. We're going to go back to talking about some Rampage and the Rampage that just happened as well. Darby Allin versus Billy Gunn. Darby Allin has a death wish. We have some more TBS tournament stuff. Adam Cole in a couple matches, and interesting reactions for Cody in the 4-way or the 8-man at the end of the show.
Yeah. Very, very interesting crowd reaction, and then a question of, are we in Wrigley?
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, this is so like baseball right there. A slightly more dangerous version.
Yes.
So we'll see how it goes. All right, so we're going to get into all this stuff. You are listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do the show live on Twitch and on YouTube, so you can follow the links in the show notes to those channels. You can also come hang out with us in our Discord. Follow us on Twitter at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1. And with me today, I have Darryl W. Perry. You can follow him at Darryl W. Perry on the Twitter. Seems you survived your Thanksgiving.
Yes, I did.
Which is
I did survive.
Which is why we're going so late in the week, because it is Sunday. We normally do this on Thursday, but Thanksgiving just kind of kept rolling along because I did stuff on Thursday, you did stuff on Friday, then I did stuff on Saturday, and then you did stuff on Saturday too. You watched a football game until
I watched forever. The Iron Bowl that went 4 overtimes, the first overtime in the Iron Bowl series, and Alabama pulled it out in the end.
All right.
Very stressful game if you're an Alabama fan.
All right, so let's go back to Rampage here. I don't even have the date on it. Was it the 19th?
Let me pull up a calendar. Yes, it would have been the 19th.
So we started off with Darby Allin versus Billy Gunn. This was a interesting match for how they did it. Billy basically tossed around Darby for quite a while. Darby did a dive, and Billy just moved out of the way, and Darby dove himself into the barricade. Darby eventually hit a stunner, hits a coffin drop. Billy kicks out at 1. Not something I would do to Darby Allin. And then Darby hits a second one and gets the win.
Billy's a big old dude, and Darby weighs half of what my leg does.
True. The Gun Club then end up beating up Sting and Darby after the match, and this will come into play later on Dynamite. So I think that match has been made at this point, right?
I believe that match is happening Wednesday.
Yes. So we have Tony's with QT Marshall. QT basically just says that he's going to beat CM Punk in his hometown on Dynamite this coming Wednesday. That was pretty much it. There's an Inner Circle promo, says they'll take on anyone. They don't care if American Top Team shows back up. Men of the Year say they're not done with Inner Circle and they haven't seen the last of American Top Team. So that feud looks like it's going to continue. Then we had Jade Cargill versus Red Velvet, and this was probably Jade's longest match, and Jade is still pretty awful. I did not like this match at all. Red Velvet
was better than I thought it would be, which isn't saying a lot.
The end was good. Red Velvet got a couple near falls. I thought Red Velvet might actually pull it out. And then Jade just avoids a final slice, hits Jaded, and then no sells the entire match. She just stands up like nothing just happened. Like she almost lost, and now she's standing up like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And that is one of my biggest pet peeves with Jade.
Yes.
Thunder Rosa does a promo. She's already beat Rebel. She actually called her Reba, which is funny. She says Jamie's going to be next, and that Thunder Rosa, she's going to be the first TBS champion.
I seriously hope that she is.
I do too. Because one, that would mean Jade finally got beat, which I would be happy about.
Yes.
Tony's with Punk, and Punk says the stakes are high when you're in your hometown, but he's been beaten in his hometown before, but he is going to beat QT Marshall on this occasion. Nothing huge. Mark Henry did a split screen. Basically, the Elite are mad because of what happened at Full Gear. And Jurassic Express says you couldn't finish us before Full Gear, and you're not going to, and you didn't at Full Gear, and it's not going to be any different tonight. And then we had Adam Cole, Bobby Fish versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. This was the highlight of the show.
Yes, the main event pretty much always is on Rampage.
Well, you'd hope so. Jurassic Express take the early part of the match until Cole gets a shot in behind the ref's back. Jungle Boy, he done Jungle Boy for quite some time. Eventually, he gets a hot tag to Luchasaurus. Cole kicks out of the Extinction event. I think that was the Extinction event. I missed if they said the actual name of it, but I'm pretty sure that's the move was. Double team to Jungle Boy. Fish does a pretty ugly dive onto Luchasaurus. He like barely got over the top rope, and barely actually cleared the apron. I'm surprised he didn't hit the apron. Jungle Boy catches the boom, and then they exchange strikes. They Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy block a Panama Sunrise into a power bomb. And then a running elbow to the back of the head for 2. Fish breaks up the pin. Fish hits a bunch of leg strikes, dragon screw. Jungle Boy hits a over the head throw into the corner. The Bucks start to wander out. Nick basically found the outfit from NXT 2.0 because it's basically just splashed with color, which is just hilarious. But then Christian runs out and runs them off with a chair, and Cole actually ran off with the Bucks to the top of the stage and leave Bobby Fish high and dry, and Fish gets tapped out to the snare trap by Jungle Boy.
You know, I don't remember a lot about that Rampage because it was like over a week ago. But I definitely do not remember that Adam Cole ran off with the Bucks.
Yes, he was at the top of the stage with the Bucks. Left his buddy to the Wolves, I guess.
His best friend.
His best friend. That we find out, the next show that it's his best friend.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a fun show. And then we go into the meat of the matter tonight. Dynamite from November 24th, 2021. And we kick it off with CM Punk versus QT Marshall. Well, we thought that's what's going to happen because after Punk got to the ring, MJF's music starts playing. And MJF comes out. He says, "Oh, it doesn't feel good being interrupted now, does it, Punky Brewster?" And he says, "Quite frankly, you hurt my feelings because you didn't shake my hand like a gentleman. Just like when you took your ball and went home like a little bitch." Talks about how everybody loved the pipe bomb promo, and that's the best CM Punk moment. But MJF, every MJF moment is the best moment. They exchange.
Every moment can't be the best.
Right. Well, maybe it's the best ever. It's all the next one is always the best. So it means
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, they talk back and forth for 18 minutes, as we mentioned. Some highlights. CM Punk calls MJF a less famous Miz, which that got the crowd. We're like, oh. Do you want to explain why that's funny, or why he would call him the Miz?
I don't know why he would compare him to the Miz. But like the Miz started off as a reality TV star and then became a pro wrestler and always thinks that he's better than he is. And I'm guessing that Punk is saying that MJF thinks that he's better than he is, and there's a similarity there.
That's kind of what I figured as well.
Okay.
So, and Miz tends to be a heel, and he just plays it up and is over the top and is just an annoying douchebag.
Yes.
So I think it's relatively similar. CM Punk said he didn't know his name was Maxwell. He thought MJF stood for what was it? My Jealous Fan.
Yeah.
My Jealous Fan. MJF says that he's going to beat Punk faster than his UFC career. MJF talked about how Punk was always number 2. He was number 2 to. He made a John Cena reference saying that "you can't see me, man," and he says, "But the thing is, I can see you. I can see right through you." And then Punk had one of the most hilarious lines. He said that MJF was always going to be number 2 unless he waited around long enough for Tony Khan to have a daughter and then marry her.
Yeah. And that's a Triple H joke.
Yes. So we had lots of references to Punk's past in WWE. Any other big ones that we left out here? Any other jabs? Because this was just a very long one.
Not that I can think of, but it was just delivered so great by both guys that if you've not seen it, AEW has actually posted it on their YouTube.
Yes.
Just go find it and watch it. It's great.
Definitely worth a watch. I've watched it twice because it was so good. Mostly because I just stopped typing after like the first 3 sentences out of MJF because it's like, I'm not even going to be able to follow it up. So basically, I had to do most of this off of memory because I knew I wouldn't be able to follow it much. There was actually one thing that MJF did talk about that did come into play in the match. And MJF was talking about how CM Punk's run so far didn't live up to expectations, and he was taking a really long time to beat these guys when he should have just kind of bowled right through them. That played in to the following match, which was CM Punk versus QT Marshall, which said earlier was 24 minutes into the show before the lockup even happened. CM Punk was in control for the start, but then Camarado and Solo get involved, but then they also got caught by the ref and tossed from ringside. So they get the heat on Punk for quite some time. A massive Liger bomb from QT for 2. Punk eventually hits a roundhouse kick to the head, hits a running knee in the corner, elbow drop off the top, hits the GTS, and gets the win. But he still ended up having to go like 10, 11 minutes with QT Marshall, which I guess plays into a little bit of what MJF was talking about, how CM Punk seemed to be taking a lot of time to put away guys that were well beneath what you would think they would be.
Yeah, and commentary sort of played this up. Marshall's got like 20. He's like a 18, 20-year vet, something like that. Punk is probably still getting the ring rust off. So that could be playing into it. And I just remembered another line from MJF where he said, "You're not CM Punk, you're PG Punk," referring to like a more toned down PG version instead of, I guess, like a TV 14.
A little more, have a little more edge. Oh, and he said, for being straight edge, you look like a meth addict. But I mean, as far as this has actually been a kind of an ongoing thing with some people, it doesn't bother me. We have, Kenny Omega going quite a long time with Allin Angels on his first go way back when the pandemic started, and then recently, a few weeks back. And then here we have CM Punk going 10 minutes or so with QT Marshall. And I am one of those that don't really have a problem with it, because it's like, okay, isn't that kind of the point, to bring in the best guys? And shouldn't everybody be... if everybody's at the top, shouldn't most matches take a while because nobody's just going to roll over?
Right. And also, there's something to be said about stepping up to the level of your competition.
Mm-hmm.
So like a QT Marshall, who probably, and this is not a knock on him, it's acknowledging a reality. He probably will never hold a singles title in AEW. But the fact that he can step up and have, these long matches, or longer than you expect him to have, with people of, world champion caliber, should also just say something about, kind of what you were just saying about, like, these are supposed to be like the best of the best, so everybody should be kind of on the same level. So yeah, like, people step up and they sort of match their opponents a little bit.
He will get the singles title from me as amazing trainer, because he's brought so many people along to such a high caliber after what we've seen them doing, floundering in like NXT for like 4 years, and then coming over, and QT Marshall like turns them around in like 6 months.
Yeah, let's see. Camarado, Ty Conti, I know Luchasaurus was in NXT for a while. I don't know how long, though.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know if he trained with Marshall, but yeah, like, QT is a really good trainer.
Yeah, I mean, we got Lee Johnson, came out of there. Red Velvet.
The Brazilian guy.
The Brazilian guy.
Yeah, the part of the Wingmen. Benoni.
Oh yeah, Cesar Bononi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a lot of people that he has been training, and obviously he's been helping with everybody and just bringing everybody up to a higher level, and obviously he's doing a really good job at that.
Yes.
Next up, we had Tony Schiavone. He was with Christian and Jurassic Express, and Christian is saying that, look, hey, Jurassic Express has a lot of momentum, and when you have this type of momentum, you feel unbeatable, and good things happen. And today we find out that Jurassic Express is #1 ranked tag team, and Christian says, I know they've been there before, but this time they have momentum on their side, and Christian Cage. I'm going to make sure that these guys win the tag team championships. Interesting phrasing here from Christian. It sounds like he might do something nefarious to get them the tag team championships, or this could be where he does something nefarious and it completely backfires on them. And this is where we get a turn, but this has been being teased for like 6 months at this point, so I don't know where they're going.
Yeah, and I didn't really take anything nefarious out of it, just more a thing of like, I'm going to have their backs and, talking up how everybody says I'm going to win the title when they have a title match.
Yeah. So we'll see how this plays out, because obviously they can still pull the trigger on something. I'm assuming they will. I'm assuming that Jurassic Express is not beating the Lucha Bros anytime soon for the AEW Tag Team Championships. So...
and there was, sort of taking a step ahead, there was a match announced on Rampage, so it might not be the Lucha Bros that they wind up facing.
Correct. That is a possibility as well. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then we go to Eddie Kingston is eating. He's eating some cake, and he says... Trying to eat cake. He sends a message to Moxley. He's behind him. And then 2.0 and Danny Garcia come in and interrupt, and basically says, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. They say Eddie Kingston is not hungry anymore, and he doesn't want to... for getting to the top or fighting or anything like that. They say that we're here to help, unlike you being able to help your friend John Moxley. Eddie stands up and says, what did you just say? They throw coffee in his face. They have a short pull apart brawl. So that was that.
Yeah.
2.0 and Danny Garcia are just being pains in everybody's asses.
Yeah, and pissed off Eddie is the best Eddie.
Yes. Next up, we had Bear Country versus Gun Club. Billy and Colton, they are undefeated as a tag team, and they actually attack before the bell. It was short. Austin pulls the leg, and Colton hits the Colt 45 and gets the win for Gun Club. But that wasn't really the point of this match anyways, because Darby's music hits, and Sting comes out onto the stage by himself, and then Austin just charges up the ramp, but then Darby comes flying out of the tunnel and intercepts him with a massive tackle, and it looked like Austin was dead on the ramp. Billy and Colton bail from the ring when Sting and Darby get down to it. So that was that.
Yeah. I was very surprised that they had a match go that short, because AEW doesn't tend to have matches that are that short.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that some time had to be shaved off here and there because the Punk MJF promo went long. So I think they were having to cut time.
That makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, wasn't that actually? We didn't even mention, since both of us watched on the Fight feed, there was an open mic on during the first commercial with Excalibur talking to the back. And you could hear him talking.
Yeah.
And talking to his other announcer. And it sounded like, oh yeah, they move this here, and cut time here. I think that's basically what he was saying. So they were shifting it
a little
right
bit of. I'm not entirely entirely sure what they've done, but they did this, that, and the thing that was at the 4th segment or the 8th segment is now at this place.
Yeah. So something.
So
like
yeah,
that.
they were definitely doing some changing. And yeah, I didn't even think that, they're making changes because that promo went so long.
Yeah. They advertised the TNT special Battle of the Belts, which is going to be on Saturday, January 8th.
Yes.
I am confused. Is this only a 1-hour show?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know either. It's been reported in some places that it's only going to be a 1-hour show. It's like, well, it's not much of a special.
Yeah, I am not sure what it is.
And if you're going to have every belt on the line that night, you can't do it in an hour. So,
well, you could.
It'd just be awful.
But you shouldn't.
So we will see. I guess we'll see how that card plays out. If it is only going to be an hour, it's got to be like 2 title matches, and that basically have to wrap it up there. But I'm hoping it's a 2-hour show. I would think it would be, but hey, and it's supposed to be live too. They're selling tickets for it, so yeah, we'll see. Cole and Bobby Fish are standing together. Cole is talking about how Bobby and he are best friends, and then the team best friends come in. They go back and forth a little bit talking. Eventually it gets us to Bobby Fish and Cole challenging Wheeler Yuta and Orange Cassidy to a match on Rampage.
What kind of name is Yuta anyway? It's like, that's his last name, not his first name.
Isn't there a young lion? Yeah, Yoda's right? Yuta, is there? I swear there's a young lion named Yuta.
I don't know.
Yeah. It'll come to me. Yeah. Oh, it's Yuya. Yuya, not yeah, thank you, Jay. It's Yuya. But still. Whatever. It's his last name. Jeez.
Yeah.
So why would you name your kid Wheeler?
That's probably not his actual birth name.
I think I heard that's actually his middle name. His middle name's actually Wheeler, and he's got like a normal first name, a normal American first name. But I haven't looked it up. Anyways, we have that match set up for Rampage. Then we have Team Taz is in a conference room, sitting across a conference table from Dante Martin. Lio Rush is standing up behind Dante. And it looks like there's a contract on the table. And,
there is a contract on the table.
And Dante has a pen, and Leo's like, no, he's not signing that. And then Dante picks up the pen, and he does indeed sign it, and leaves with Team Taz. I am guessing this is a swerve of some kind, and some kind of inside plan with Leo and Dante, because I don't think Dante is really joining Taz.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, other than intriguing.
Yes. And thank you, Jay, in the chat room, says Wheeler's first name is James.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next up, we had I thought was a really good match. Jamie Hayter versus Thunder Rosa. This is a quarterfinal? Yes, quarterfinal. TBS title tournament. They went right after each other. They had really good back and forth. Thunder Rosa hits a bunch of hard drop kicks, hits a suplex on the floor. Jamie catches a crossbody off the apron and holds her across her body and runs Thunder Rosa into the ring post back first. and then body slams her on the floor. They get the heat on Rosa for a bit. Rosa comes back with a shotgun drop kick, wrecking ball double knees, and then a basement drop kick in the corner for a 2 count. Then Jamie hits a big backbreaker. They throw a ton of strikes at each other. Rebel then pulls the ref. Britt gets in the ring to break up a submission attempt from Rosa. And then Jamie holds Rosa in place for Britt to hit a super kick. Britt tries the super kick. Rosa ducks and ends up hitting Jamie with the super kick instead. Rosa then pushes Britt into Rebel and then rolls up Jamie for the win. And Jamie is very pissed off at Rebel and Britt.
Yes. And then they had the... did they do a commercial and then come back for Britt's Friendsgiving?
Yes, there was a commercial and there was actually the Jericho segment between.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought this was a really good match. I mean, both of them are good workers, so I was expecting a pretty good one.
And I was almost prepared for Jamie to pick up the win. I'm glad she didn't, but they had me going there for a bit, thinking that the numbers disadvantage would wind up getting to Rosa.
Yeah, well, and but they did end up protecting Jamie here in defeat because basically it was a screw up by Britt that cost her the match. So interesting that they would do it that way. I mean, Jamie is obviously probably one of the better wrestlers on. Well, not probably, is one of the better wrestlers in the women's division. So I would keep her as strong as possible just to do so. And this obviously is making some contention within Team DMD. So there's that. We have Alex Marvez is with Chris Jericho. Jericho doesn't get very far into talking before 2.0 and Danny Garcia stumble in. Basically, this just ends up going nowhere. Jericho basically says, "You guys are jerk-offs, throwing coffee in people's faces." And that was pretty much it.
Yeah. And Jericho screaming because that's what he does.
Then we had the Friendsgiving celebration with Brit Baker, Tony Schiavone, and Rebel. They're all sitting at a table with a bunch of food. And Britt is like... Friendsgiving is already ruined because of what happened to Jamie, because Jamie's not here. And then she also mentions, and Tony, a fat-free pie for you. And then she's like, she grabs a biscuit off of Rebel's plate and throws it and says, "You don't need that."
You don't need these carbs.
You don't need these carbs. It was pretty funny. And then Tony is like, "Unfortunately, I got some bad news that I have to deliver. We have to show you this video." They show a video from the Battle Royale at what show was this we're talking about? At All Out. And it shows that Riho was not actually legitimately eliminated. She went through the middle ropes. So Tony has given Riho a Black Friday deal match for Rampage against Brit Baker, and if she beats Britt in that match, she will get a title shot against Britt. And Britt is just like all pissed off and says, "Tony, you ruined Halloween. Now you ruined Thanksgiving. You're not invited to Christmas." And then Rebel was gonna do the Brit Baker DMD, and Britt's like, "No, we're not doing the DMD. You ruined it. We're done. We're done." It's so funny.
Yeah, and one thing that was pointed out, I'll just go ahead and jump forward. Pointed out during that match is that Britt has never beaten Riho.
In a singles match, correct?
Right.
Or ever, I don't know. Then we had a really good match, and I think this is where they had to shave a little bit of time. That was Bryan Danielson versus Colt Cabana. You figure between the two of these guys, they could have an awesome match, and of course they did.
Yes.
They go back and forth, hit each other with really hard chops, hard kicks from Bryan, elbow strikes from Colt. Danielson blocks the flying apple, hits a suplex, hits some kicks. Colt fights out of a suplex and hits a moonsault of his own for 2. And then Bryan hits a bunch of stomps to the face. And before he puts on the LaBelle lock, he flexes to the crowd, and then he puts it on. And Colt taps out. And then Bryan Danielson is slow to release it again after the bell. And then Bryan picks up a couple of broken teeth off the mat for good measure.
Yes, that was, I don't want to say the best part of that match, but like the fact that he was holding these broken teeth and the camera was zooming in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just wonderful visuals. And yeah, I hope that whatever teeth got broken can be fixed.
I'm curious if it
would be able to.
I'm curious if it was a work or not.
I don't know.
I don't know either, because there were 2 pieces, and they showed Colt spitting out another one. So I'm not sure if he loaded up after and it was or at some point, and that was, he spit out pieces that he already had pre-placed.
Yeah, I don't know. And as the owl from the old Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop commercial would say, the world may never know.
Yeah. So Tony Schiavone goes down to the ring. Bryan is getting a bunch of boos. Tony says, "You're not making many friends here." And he says, "Funny, because I debuted in Chicago and got a much different reaction than this. And I wonder, is it me or is it you? I think there's a word for that. Fickle. And I'm not fickle. I said I was going to kick Colton's head in, and I did, as well as knocking out a couple of teeth. And next week in Atlanta, there are a couple other Dark Order members from there, so I'm going to kick their heads in as well." And then we have Hangman Page comes out. He is in his wrestling gear, and he says that, okay, you're not going to beat up any more of my friends. I'm ready to go. Let's do this now. And Bryan's like, of course you would challenge me after I've already had a match. So no, we're not doing this here. Then they have a little spat.
Yes, they did have a little spat, but I think didn't Hangman also say that I'll let you get in the first punch?
Oh yes, yes. To make it fair, he'll give him the first shot.
To make it fair, and then Danielson acted like he wasn't going to do it, and then wound up getting a punch.
Yeah, and then Hangman set up for the buckshot. Bryan bailed out of the ring before he could deliver it.
Yes.
So then they set up they run down the card for Rampage, but we're going to be talking about it, so no point in running it down. And Statlander versus Ruby in the TBS tournament on Dynamite is announced. So I'm looking forward to that match. That should be a good one.
Yeah. They're all going to be good matches.
Yeah. And then we have the 8-man tag of Cody Rhodes, Pac, and the Lucha Bros versus FTR, Andrade, and Malakai Black. We get a pretty mixed reaction for Cody to begin with. And then, so he starts it off, and then when Cody throws his belt into the crowd starts chanting, "Throw it back," and the belt gets thrown back to the ring.
Yeah, and that's when I think it was Excalibur that asked the question of, are we at Wrigley?
They're in the right city.
Because if anybody doesn't know, whenever the opposing team hits a home run at Wrigley, it is customary to throw back the home run ball. You do not keep it.
Yes. Though I don't know if that continues on, because I think you get thrown out if you do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they can actually do that anymore. That was a long-standing tradition, but I'm pretty sure at this point you get thrown out if you throw something back out on the field.
Boo.
Yeah, no fun right there. I mean, Wrigley is probably not a big deal because their bleachers are not that big. It's probably, like 15 rows. So even if you're in the back, you could easily clear everybody. It's not like you're not going to hit anybody. But yeah. So anyways, the belt gets thrown back. Somehow Andrade throws it away, and then it ends up on the ring apron again. So I think it might have gotten thrown back twice. So then Cody just put it back on. So I have to say, this would be a really great spot, and I have to agree, this has been said by other people as well. It would be a really great spot if he threw something that was a little less dangerous to be throwing back in the ring, like an elbow pad or something.
Yeah. Elbow pad, t-shirt.
Yeah. Something a soft good that doesn't have a metal buckle on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm guessing Cody will not be throwing his belt out into the crowd anytime soon. Pac sets up Penta for the taint dropkick. That's what I'm going to call it from now on, because that's exactly what it is. Phoenix and Andrade have a really good sequence. We get some triple teaming from Death Triangle to Andrade, and then Cody gets tagged in to a chorus of boos. Andrade makes Death Triangle distract the ref themselves, basically taunts them and pulls Death Triangle out. The heels beat down Cody in the corner to some fanfare on that one. Then we get some awesome work from Malakai Black and Phoenix. Andrade gets tagged in, and I didn't see what happened, but suddenly he is in trunks. He was in pants, now he's in trunks.
They just said, like, Andrade's had a wardrobe change.
Yeah, and it was just like unceremoniously, unsuddenly. It's not like a Tai Chi where he tears the tearaway pants off. Suddenly he's just in trunks.
Yeah, he probably just rolled up under the ring for a second, pulled the slacks off. I'm guessing they probably ripped somewhere, and he's like, I'm not going to work in ripped slacks.
Actually, that's what Jay just said. Andrade's pants ripped, so he went in his trunks. Good thing he had the trunks on underneath, I guess.
Yes.
Thinking ahead. Where were we here? Phoenix gets ganged up on. Tully gets some shots in behind the ref's back. Phoenix makes a hot tag to Penta. Penta hits this crazy backstabber onto Andrade for 2. Cash hits a backbreaker. Penta hits a made in Japan. Dax hits a pile driver. Phoenix hits a drop kick. Spinning kick from Black. Twisting neckbreaker from Cody. Andrade ducks a kick, and Cody kicks Pac. But then a moment later, Pac overhead throws Andrade into the corner. So everybody is down at this point. So Arn and Tully get in from opposite sides of the ring, and they start circling. And then Andrade's assistant Jose gets into the ring, and Tully and Arn just look at him, and they both punch Andrade. But then the action continues, so they get out of the ring.
They punched Jose.
They punched Jose.
They didn't punch Andrade.
Did I say Andrade?
You did.
I'm sorry. They punched Jose. They both look at Jose and then punch him. And then the action starts again. So then Tully and Arn both get out of the ring. On the outside, Alex Abrahantes is beating up on Jose and throws him over the barricade into the crowd. We get sling blades from Penta to a bunch of guys. We get the dive from the Lucha Bros on FTR. Then we get the black mist is spit in the eyes to Pac. Andrade hits Excalibur called it El Idolo, but I believe it's called something else. And I forget what they call it. But it's the Hammerlock DDT finisher that he does.
Yes.
I swear there's a different name for it. The Hammer? Is it called the Hammer? For some reason, I know it's not called El Idolo, but that's what Excalibur called it. And then he pins Pac for the win.
Yes. Then, did you see the video of what happened after Dynamite?
Yes. So after Dynamite went off the air, Andrade pulled up some of the padding on the outside and then gave Cody that hammerlock DDT on the concrete floor.
Yes.
So that sets up a match with them on Dynamite coming up.
Yeah, and I'm pulling up the basically the write-up that AEW does for the shows, and I'm looking to see if they don't say what it was. They just say Malakai Black sprayed mist into Pac, and then Andrade El Idolo finished off Pac for the pin.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that they would mention what move he hit, but they don't.
Yeah. Unlike New Japan, where they put all their finishes in. And it's always fun when you see Zack Sabre Jr.'s names for finishes, because they're really funny. Overall, I thought it was the night before Thanksgiving. Oh, La Sombra, the Shadow. They call it the Shadow. That's what it is. Got it.
Okay. Right. That was his
former name
in Mexico.
Yep. So I think I heard somebody actually call it the Shadow, but obviously La Sombra means the Shadow or the Shade. I'm guessing it's not the Shade though. That's actually a funny Archer joke because somebody was named La Sombra and he's like, "Is it the Shade?" No, in this case, it's got to be the Shadow. That'd be like the Shade. The Shade is not a very good bad guy name.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought this episode was really good. I mean, it was the night before Thanksgiving, but they did not phone this show in. Of course, they have gone back to what they said they were going to do. Obviously, they could do it last year, but they plan on making the night before Thanksgiving a Chicago show every year. So they managed to do that again this year because they could. Unlike last year where they had to do it in Daly's place.
Yes.
So we'll see what future years come into play doing this stuff. And then we had Rampage from last night. Not last night. The night before. 2 days ago. And I thought this was a pretty good show. Very easy watch. We had the match of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish versus Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta. We also had Brit Baker and Riho, and Eddie Kingston versus Danny Garcia. And I thought all three of those matches were pretty good. I don't have the in-between segments, and I don't have the card for Dynamite if you happen to have it, or you can pull it up.
I do. I actually pulled up the AEW's recap of Rampage.
All right, excellent. So they started off the show with the Adam Cole and Bobby Fish versus Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta match. I thought this was a really fun match. Adam Cole getting frustrated with Orange Cassidy, trying to get his hands in his pockets. They got the heat on Wheeler Yuta for quite some time. Orange Cassidy finally got a lukewarm tag. He took out everybody, hit Bobby with the DDT, hit Cole with a suicide dive, and then Wheeler took out Fish with a crossbody, and Yuta hit a splash on Cole for 2, and then Cole and Fish, they take out Cassidy, and then Fish hits a super Falcon Arrow off the top onto Wheeler Yuta and gets the victory. First time somebody's been finished with the Super Falcon Arrow.
Okay, I did not realize that, but
or at least on Dynamite or Rampage. I haven't seen him win with the Super Falcon Arrow on I haven't seen him on Dark Elevation. So
Yeah, I don't know if he's been on Dark or Dark Elevation, but yeah, that move, like it looks like he's going to have the guy land on his leg.
Yes,
but he somehow figures out a way to turn at just the right time to have everything work out.
Yeah, you watch it in slow motion. You're just like amazed. He tucks the leg so he can swing it under the person, and then extends it before he hits the ground. It looks like he's going to kill himself every time, but every time he hits it just fine.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was pretty good. Cassidy is obviously really funny, trying to do all of his weak kicks. He did the weak kicks to the back of Cole and Fish's legs, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. And it was also super funny when I forget who it was in the corner, and Yuta runs at him and like does some kind of splash or whatever, and Orange Cassidy just starts walking slowly with an arm raised, and Yuta runs past him again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was like the never-ending clotheslines, or the forever clotheslines that Rocky Romero does, but he just never got in position. Yeah,
and he's just like walking, and Yuta's lapping him around the ring, and then he gets over there and like just grabs him behind the head and pushes him down to the ground, and just that sort of weird his what was the word that was used? Unorthodox style is what has that, and it's definitely an unorthodox style.
Next up, we had Tony Schiavone. He was with the premier athlete, Tony Nese. And Tony Nese, that is, was saying that he's been scouting the competition and that there's the open challenge for the TNT Championship, and he thinks he has found the perfect way to make his TNT or his debut on Dynamite, and that is against or was it Rampage? Was this match set up for Rampage or Dynamite? I can't remember.
They said in 1 week.
In 1 week. So okay, so and Rampage.
Then, they later on, when they were running down the cards, plural, they did mention that this will be next Friday. Nese said, based off of what I've seen, if Ethan Page, if Bobby Fish, if Jay Lethal would have all done their homework, Sammy wouldn't even be the champion right now. Based off of what I've seen, I'm 100% unimpressed. Sammy Guevara comes in.
Yeah, and Sammy comes in and says, unimpressed. Another new guy talking a bunch of mess, which I thought was funny. I don't know why I didn't just say shit. And Tony's like, okay, you can't take some criticism? And Guevara says, I can take criticism, but not a guy who hasn't done shit since he got here. So it's like, okay, why did you say mess the previous line? Yeah, whatever. And anyway, Nese ends up attacking Sammy with a cheap shot. Yeah.
And then
and puts a foot in the ribs.
I think it was a knee. He leaned down and like put his knee in the ribs. Mm-hmm. The taped up ribs, and you know that they're injured when there's tape on them.
Yes.
Even though you couldn't see the tape because he had a shirt on. But I do have to wonder, like, does rib tape actually do anything?
I don't know. I've never had broken ribs, so I can tell you. Actually, my wife has had broken ribs, and then she never taped them up. They just couldn't.
Yeah,
they didn't do anything.
I have had fractured ribs, and like nothing makes them not hurt.
Right. Yeah. So I don't think taping up really helps.
Yeah.
You can't really tape your core. That's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Brit Baker versus Riho, and if Riho wins this match, she gets a title shot at Brit Baker. And as mentioned earlier, Brit Baker has never beaten Riho. They start off with some basic chain wrestling. Riho avoids a early lockjaw attempt. She ends up taking Britt and Rebel out with a crossbody to the floor off the top. Then we also Britt comes back with a running elbow in the corner, and they go to commercial break. We did not see what happened through the commercial, so I don't know how much was actually cut out of this match. Come back from commercial. Britt is still in control. She hits her with some stomps. Then Riho starts to goes for a flying head scissors, hits a running knee, and Britt hits her with a suplex into the corner, and then Riho hits a dragon suplex. It's a Northern Light suplex for a 2, and then Riho got a roll-up pin and won her match and beat Brit Baker, and now she's going to get a future title shot. So Brit Baker still cannot figure out the Riho puzzle.
It wasn't just a roll-up. It was a roll-up. Like, Britt had Riho in position for the air raid crash, and Riho somehow flipped around and... Oh, wait, no, that was when she hit the Snapdragon.
Yes.
She flipped out of the air raid for the Snapdragon.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Britt tried for the Fisherman neck breaker, and that's the one that Riho countered somehow into a pinning predicament. So not quite a surprise roll-up, but definitely a roll-up that was a surprise.
Yes. So Riho gets a win over Brit Baker here, and we'll get a future title shot. We haven't seen much of Riho on Dynamite or Rampage. I know she's been doing a lot of stuff over on the dark shows, but I'd like to see her a little bit more often. I'm surprised she wasn't. Was she in the tournament for the TBS Championship?
No,
I don't think so. So she was kind of a missing name from that whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, they did the... I'm thinking, didn't they do a women's eliminator tournament earlier in...
Yeah, for the number one contender. Yeah.
Yeah. She was in that. And then I think that's when she was finally able to, come back from Japan.
Yeah, I think she actually moved to the U.S. at that point.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so then they go over the card for Dynamite, the Atlanta street fight between Cody and Andrade, the last of the quarterfinal matches for the TBS title, Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho. We have the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson versus Allin 5 Angels. Battle of 2 undefeated tag teams, the Gunn Club of Billy and Colton versus Sting and Darby. And then they go into the main event.
Yeah. So they had the split screen with 2.0 and Danny Garcia with Kingston on the other side, and it wasn't much. It was just Eddie's like, "Are you guys really talking to me?" Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, and he said something about Danny Garcia not having you don't have a fat enough ass to back up what you're saying to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
He didn't say fat enough ass, but he mentioned something about Danny Garcia not having a big enough ass to back up any of what he's saying. Matt Lee, who may possibly be on cocaine, I don't know.
It feels like that.
Yeah, it's basically 1980s professional wrestler got transported to 2021 with Jeff Parker and Matt Lee.
Yes, that is. And then totally
Danny Garcia's just, a slightly more hyper version of Orange Cassidy when he's giving promos. And yeah, they mentioned something about Black Friday bringing Red Death to Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. So the match was pretty good. Actually, they actually gave it quite a long time. They just started off with the lockup. Kingston takes down Garcia with some shots, and then 2.0 get involved, and this turns the match towards Garcia. And they get the heat on Kingston for a while. Kingston was starting to deal with his knee. His knee was getting attacked, so he was kind of limping around. Kingston hits an exploder, and they double down. And then they started throwing strikes, which is not a good idea if you are not Kingston. And then Garcia hits a knee. Then Kingston comes back, goes for the back fist. Danny ducks it, but then he goes for a second one and hits him and pins Danny for the win. And then immediately 2.0 jump in the ring and attack Eddie Kingston. And Jericho gets off with commentary, runs down, and makes the save.
Yeah. I'm surprised at how much offense Garcia got in this match.
That tends to be I can't believe Garcia got this much offense in every match that he's had, because he had it with CM Punk and has it here with Kingston.
True. And there's also the bit of Eddie had the KT tape on one of his shoulders, and then the knee giving him problems. But yeah, like Garcia got him in a couple of heel hooks. Definitely going after the knee and the ankle on the bad leg. Yeah, good match. A little longer than I expected, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is always a pleasant surprise.
Yes, I mean, considering Danny, I'm assuming he's going to be with AEW for quite some time at this point. He is only 23 years old. Has a very, I guess you could say it's a very English style. You think it's kind of more of like a UK-based style? Mat wrestling is kind of like his style?
Yeah, mat wrestling, going for submissions, and then while I've got you in this hold, let me see, 3 other holds that I can put you in. And then, yeah, you can sort of see the little wheels in his head turning as he's doing things.
Yeah, so we might be seeing a new Zack Sabre Jr. coming up the ranks here.
Yeah.
Or Bryan Danielson, no less as well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that match, Bryan Danielson versus Danny Garcia. I think that's going to be a pretty sweet match. But of course, the big match that we're all looking for is Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson. But we'll see when that happens.
Super show.
Yeah. But I think that brings us up to date with AEW. I am so far behind on New Japan that I'm just going to have to truck through all the episodes, because I have only started the first Best of the Super Juniors show. So I'm like 10 behind at this point. So that's going to be rough. But yeah, anything you want to touch on from AEW before we wrap it up here and we come back hopefully on Thursday like normal?
Nothing from AEW, although tangentially related to AEW, is Samurai del Sol is now going to be in the AAA Mega Champion match against El Hijo de Vikingo at their pay-per-view next Saturday. That's the one where Kenny apparently just like vacated the Mega Championship. They're expecting that he's getting all kinds of surgeries done. And so it's like, what's going to happen? Oh, well,
yeah, it's actually going to be a 5-way.
It's a 5-way now.
Yes.
It changes every time I see something or hear something.
Yeah,
about this.
so now is Vikingo, Samurai Del Sol, Bobby Fish, Bandito, and Jay Lethal.
Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the match that they announced on Rampage is the 2 out of 3 falls match between FTR and Lucha Bros for the AEW tag titles.
Yes, which then they're having a 2 out of 3 falls match the following night at AAA for the AAA titles. So that should be interesting.
Hold on, I thought their 2 out of 3 falls match was Dynamite on Wednesday. Their AAA is on Saturday.
Correct. The 2 out of 3 falls is actually on Friday on Rampage.
Ooh, okay.
Even though it's going to be taped on Wednesday, but it's technically going to be airing on Friday. So they're going to do a 2 out of 3 falls match on the 3rd, and then another one on the 4th, just for different titles.
Okay.
So should be interesting.
Yeah, that's almost like a couple years ago, the Hardys had like 3 ladder matches in consecutive nights.
Mm-hmm.
All for different titles.
Yeah, in different promotions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually a good one to call. Other big news: GCW sold out their show at the Hammerstein Ballroom, which is amazing. Completely sold out. I think they even are setting it up for more people than normal. So I'm guessing they're putting a bunch of people like on the stage with bleachers and whatnot. So I think they're putting in like 2,400, which they normally only put in 1,800 in there. So 2,400 to a GCW show. That's amazing.
Yeah. Who's on that card?
I don't know who's on the card. I haven't looked it up. I'm sure it's probably something good. GCW.
Yeah, let me see if I
Hammerstein.
can find this.
This makes good for good radio when we're all just looking for it.
Yes, Googling live on air. Apparently, Eddie Kingston is going to be on that card.
Mm-hmm.
It's in January 23rd.
Yep. So it will be a while before we get the actual card.
Yeah.
Pretty good though.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, so I think that's wraps it up for us for AEW coverage. I don't know when we'll be back, me and Trey, for New Japan stuff, because like I said, I'm super behind. We should be back on our normal schedule Thursday for AEW Dynamite coverage, so hopefully, if nothing goes crazy this week. Yeah. So thanks for listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live on Twitch and on YouTube. The links to those channels are in your show notes. Also, there's a link to our Discord as well. And follow us on Twitter at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1. You can follow Darryl at Darryl W. Perry on the Twitter as well. His info is in the show notes. So for Darryl W. Perry, my name's Eric Lorch. You've been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later.